There's water flowing under every shoe. Water flowing under me, flowing under you. This water is given from high, high above. Well, this water is God's great love.
Parsha Vaethanan, and I implored. Deuteronomy 3:23 through 7:11. Vaetchanan tells the story of Moses' plea to enter the Promised Land. It goes on to recount the Ten Commandments and also gives us the Shema, our central prayer that affirms the unity of God. The blessing. The drama of Vaetchanan recounts Moses' plea for grace. As our story unfolds, Moses implores God to allow him to enter the Promised Land. God's response is interpreted by Moses as an angry and terrible no, as a withholding of grace. God says, Rav lach, you have so much. Stop fixating on your idea of what you want. And then God instructs Moses to climb to the top of the mountain and get a clear view in all directions so that he might see and know that he has already arrived. The promise has already been fulfilled. As we search for grace in our own lives, we often come to that search with a preconceived notion of what our success must look like. We look towards the Promised Land, the right partner, perfect health, enough money, the right places to live and work. Our time and culture condition our goals. They drive us onward in our journeys, blinding us to the destination beneath our feet. As grace pours into our lives from within or without, we will not recognize or receive its flow if we are fixated on a certain picture, on a particular outcome, a specific idea of success. Our expectations will blind us to the Promised Land that is before us and within us. The blessing of Vaetchanan is the opportunity to hear God's word again. Rav lach. You have so much. I am answering your request in this very moment, but you must open your eyes to receive it. You must lift your eyes beyond your own limited expectations. You must climb the mountain to take in the wide expanse. You don't need to cross the Jordan. You are already home. We take this journey in order to be strengthened, purified, transformed, refined. We journey so that our eyes may be opened. Vaetchanan blesses us with a map for that path of awakening in the form of the Ten Commandments and the Shema. The Ten Commandments, written on the tablets, represents the covenant. This covenant is the truth of our connection to the ultimate reality hidden beneath the apparent surface of things. Vaetchanan blesses us with a path of attunement to the essential truth of our existence. Ignoring or contradicting the guidelines carved on the tablets of covenant will serve to keep us from knowing and experience that connection to God and to the whole of life. If the line of connection to our source is broken, then awakening becomes impossible, and our relationship to reality becomes distorted. But what kind of blessing is this? Haven't we already received the blessing of this gift earlier in our journey in the book of Exodus? How can it be given again? Here is the secret of Deuteronomy, its earliest title being Mishnah Torah, the repetition of the Torah. What looks like the repetition is actually the journey spiraling to a deeper level. When the Ten Commandments are given a second time, they are not accompanied by fire and thunder as they were at first. Instead, they are given in the quiet of our practice, and they open to us an even deeper mystery, which is the Shema. Listen, God wrestler. Yud He Vav He is your God. Yud He Vav He is one. The words of the Shema pierce through the veils of illusion. These words have the power to awaken us from our trance of separation that obscures the truth that there is only one God. Now, when God tells Moses to climb the mountain and lift his eyes, we are being invited to receive a glimpse of unity. From the summit of this mountain, everything that we thought separate, all of the opposites that have warred within us, are suddenly united. It is all echad, one. Then the fullness of love can flow. Then you shall love God with all your heart and all your soul and all your might. When we experience the knowledge of the unity beyond duality, it takes root inside us, and we become lovers of the highest order. Guidance for practice. Our holiday of fulfillment. Our holiday cycle celebrates the steps along the way of the journey from Egypt to the Promised Land. Passover commemorates the Exodus from Egypt. Shavuot remembers the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai. Sukkot celebrates our journey through the wilderness. So it was perplexing to me that there is no holiday that celebrates the longed-for arrival in the Promised Land. After all, that was the point of the journey, wasn't it? A celebration would seem to be in order. When do we celebrate the completion of our journey? I put this question to Rabbi Lawrence Kushner, and he suggested that Shabbat was our holiday of arrival in the Promised Land. Shabbat is the time of experiencing the truth of coming home. We expand our consciousness wide enough to embrace the paradox that our lives are difficult and harrowing journey, filled with struggle, tragic loss, and suffering. And yet, we have already arrived, and each moment offers us its absolute perfection. All week long, we may long for Messiah, an era of freedom. When we come to Shabbat, we know that we are already redeemed. After lighting the Shabbat candles this week of Vaetchanan, take some time to gaze into the flames. Receive the divine words, Rav Lach. You have so much. Stop fixating on your idea of what you want. Then send your stories, your tragedy, your questions, your unquenchable desire into the flame. Let the power of God, who is a consuming fire, burn away regrets and pride for the past. Let it burn away worries and hopes for the future. Let God, who is a consuming fire, reveal this present expanded moment of Shabbat. Let these Shabbat flames illuminate the expanse of the Promised Land within you. Rest in the knowledge and the pleasure of coming home at last. I used to perceive Judaism as enormously depressing, always remembering the destruction of the temple, mourning a terrible history of oppression, and yearning for an impossible future. Yet now I see that Shabbat, the holiday of arrival and fulfillment, is our most nurturing, most accessible, most important holiday. And it happens every week. Shabbat Shalom.